All right, welcome back. Hope you all had a great week. My name's Brennan,
You've got Gabe.
You got Parker? Oh,
and this is Shadow Valley.
Wonderful.
I'm glad to be back, guys. So far, I've been working, and I've been just putting myself at the grind for
On
the
the
most part.
grind constantly.
Yeah,
That's Brennan's life.
for real. I mean, 10-hour shifts, but like 4 10s is pretty good. Today, I got to leave early because I usually go in early, and
Mhm,
so I got to leave early, which is nice. But like, damn, 5:30 is really early
mhm. Yeah, that is early. That
just to
sucks.
be there. I mean, I get up at 3:45 just so I can like be ready because I take an hour to get ready.
Yeah, which is crazy. He was telling me the other day, I was like, "So what time do you get up in the morning?" He's like, "Oh, like 3 in the morning." And I was like, "What? How come?" "Well, it takes me like." Or I was like, "Oh, so are you getting to work at like 3:30 or 4 or something?" And he's like, "No, you get to work at 5:30." I was like, "What? It takes me an hour and a half to get ready.
Yeah.
That's crazy."
I like
what
to
do you
go in like,
do in that hour and a half?
what do I do in that hour and a half? I kind of like
Yeah,
sit
that
in the
seems nuts to
shower.
me.
I sit there and think about like what I'm going to wear.
Nice.
And I just move slow like a turtle to where like, I don't know, I'm like a freaking snail because I just move so goddamn slow in the morning.
Oh,
Like,
man.
that's how it be.
That's how it be. You know who didn't
So,
move slow?
Adolf Hitler.
Adolf
Hitler?
Hitler. That's exactly what I was
Oh
gonna say.
god.
How'd you know? Sorry, Parker, what were you gonna say, though?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I go to the gym in the morning now. I started going, and
Mhm.
I get up at 5, and it's a 15-minute drive, and I'm at the gym before 5:30 usually. Like,
Dang.
I like roll out of bed, throw on a shirt and a hat, and like walk out the door.
The gym, bro. That's exciting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have well, I probably could go to the gym, but I
Yeah.
choose not to because I wanna be unhealthy.
Fair enough. I have a gym membership I pay for. I just don't go. Like,
Hell
I
yeah.
should go like after I get off work and I'm done with my homework.
Mhm.
But like, not gonna lie, I was gonna ask you guys for some help because I don't know how to do fucking um a lot of this chemistry shit.
Dude,
Like,
I told you,
well,
chemistry sucks.
it's
But I'll
literally
help you.
scientific
Y
notation. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
it can really
stupid.
can be
Or
confusing.
like, what's the other thing that I don't understand? Like I got 6 out of 10 on my chemistry quiz, and I'm like, nice. This looks like a really good projection for the rest of the class.
6 out of 10 isn't horrible
But
on
like,
chemistry, at least.
significant figures, that's like the other thing.
Yeah, sig figs suck, dude. It's rough.
I just have no idea like how to go about that. But yeah, something else I was gonna mention. I can't wait to get unbanned from Snapchat.
How do you know
Is
you're
that
gonna
a
get
thing?
unbanned?
Can you get
I thought you were
unbanned?
for sure banned.
Like my account's banned forever, but I made a new one and I can log in on
Uh,
my computer, but my phone's still like doxed and is like can't be used at all
oh,
for
that sucks.
Snapchat. But everybody's saying it's like 6 months. You just wait 6 months and you're back on. But I was going through because Snapchat let me download all my photos and stuff and all
Mhm,
like the chat feed. Like I got a whole bunch of shit.
mhm.
But like,
At
um,
least you got some stuff back, though. That would've
yeah,
sucked if you didn't.
I got like all my photos, and there's like two things I've learned from this. Like, A, the only reason I took like pictures of myself and like saved them in my camera roll was
Uh-huh,
because I had Snapchat. And so I have like an entire album on my phone that's like a shared album. It's entitled Self,
uh-huh.
or it's titled Self or something like that. The other thing I learned after going through all of my like pictures because it downloads all of the messages.
Mhm.
God damn, I'm a fucking whore.
Oh my goodness, dude.
I'm a slut,
Oh,
dude.
okay.
Like, I'm a fucking slut. Like, all the dick pics that I've sent people,
Oh my
like,
goodness. I don't know if our listeners really wanna hear
I
that.
mean, I'll just leave it at that, but, like, I'm a slut. Like, I was like, "Oh, no, I'm, like, a little conservative. Like, yeah, I just do, like, a little dating." No, I'm a fucking whore.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
all these people on Snapchat because it saves, like, all of the snaps. Like, every snap I've ever sent in a conversation that's been, like, saved in that
Uh-huh.
conversation, like, I was able to download, like, 5 gigs worth of shit.
Oh, what? Wait,
Yeah.
what? I thought
Holy
it
cow.
didn't save your Yeah, I thought it didn't save your conversations, or were you, like, clicking to
Like,
manually
I
save
clicked
it?
to manually save it.
Oh, you're a menace.
Yeah, and so I saved
Ah,
literally all of the photos that other people didn't save. And so I was able to
dang.
download them all, and, like, I was like, fuck. Did I
Then you
really
realize,
send this many like dick pics and videos to people?
damn, yo, that's
Like,
messed up.
kinda is actually. Kinda is. And I was
How
like,
did you
wow,
feel after you found that out?
after I found out I've
Like,
sent
were
that
you
many,
like, yeah, were you like, "Oh, it's okay," or were you like, "Oh man, I feel weird," or like, what's your experience after going through that?
like
I'm just
after I sent
curious.
those or after I discovered that like I sent them? Like, what do you mean, bro? I'm just a little confuzzled because like when I
What do I
first
mean?
found out, yeah, like what do you mean?
Like, were you like okay with it? Like, all right, or were you like, oh man, I feel a little dead inside? Like which end of the spectrum were you on?
Like when I first sent them, I was fine with it.
Mm,
But like I
Right.
died a little inside today when I was going through them and I saw like, oh fuck, like you're a slut.
damn.
You're a slut, like showing your body like this to this many people.
Oh,
Like, you goddamn whore. No wonder why you started an OnlyFans.
oh my god. Hey, dude, you got to get on that
Uh,
grind, bro. You got to
for
get that
real.
Skrilla. You do you.
But I know
um,
enough about my deviance. We can
yeah.
If
we
I
can
was
So
a
talk
now let's
about
chick,
talk about some.
I probably would have an OnlyFans.
Dude, again, nothing's stopping you. Just get an OnlyFans, Parker. Who
for
cares?
real, dude. I'll subscribe.
I'm not that
Hell
confident, you know.
yes,
Gotta
but
support your homies.
yeah, you got to support the bros. Um, now to speak on somebody else's deviance, Adolf Hitler.
Sieg Heil.
Fiaru. So last
Juden
time,
es verboten.
Judo, it's what?
Juden es verboten.
I actually don't know what that is. What is that?
I think it's like Jews are forbidden.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sounds
Yeah,
I
I
like
don't
think that's
know.
it.
I heard it on South Park.
Yeah, nice. South Park facts.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just assuming like Juden is Jew.
That's probably safe to assume.
Yeah,
Um, okay, so last time we left you guys at the invasion of Poland and we kind of restructured a little bit. So instead of kind of like info dumping, we're going to just focus on a main topic from here on out and try to like give you guys a sufficient amount of detail, but kind of have more open conversation
yeah,
regarding that. So today we're just going to go over two topics: the invasion of France, very briefly, because it is kind of like one of the main reasons why um, Operation Barbarossa happened, and we can kind of go into the details here. So to start this off, do you guys know what Operation Barbarossa is,
no.
I
Parker?
actually do.
You
Ooh,
do? Oh
It
my
is
god.
it was isn't that when Germany was gonna decided they were gonna invade Russia, but before Russia and Germany were like on the same side, and then Hitler was like, never mind, watch this. Isn't that what it
Never
is?
mind, get pranked. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. Exactly. So, um, Operation Barbarossa was Hitler's like plan to take over the Soviet Union. He called it the Directive 21, Fuhrer Directive 21. So the idea behind this whole thing was he wanted to implement this thought that he had from back when he wrote his manifesto.
yeah,
The and I may butcher this. It's in German, but it's the Lebensraum,
yeah,
and that essentially means living space. So Hitler's plan at the beginning was, again, Hitler was all about, and we spoke about this in the last episode, but he was very like uh, um, country oriented. He loved his country. He wanted to make Germany like the big dog again,
yeah,
you know? And so for him, it was like, I want to go back and get all those, the like territories that we lost.
yeah,
And so he wrote in his manifesto and said, I want to implement Lebanese,
yeah,
and essentially that meant I want to take over back the territory. I want to make Germany wonderful again, and that pretty much made it by default that he was going to take over or try to attack Soviet Russia at one point because they had some of the territory that was
yeah.
Germany's at one point.
Bro, that's crazy. Make Germany great again? It's almost like it sounds
What,
so much
dude?
like Make America Great Again.
What the freak?
What? Oh my god. They both had some interesting
So
hairstyles, though.
That's
Compare
true.
Hitler to
you
Donald
want to know
Trump.
something kind of funny?
Slap me with it, bitch.
So, so
I'm not
you know
arguing.
how everyone has been like Republicans, especially like far right Republicans, are like Trump is my savior, drain the swamp, like all that kind of stuff.
Where they literally pray to him. Like, I've seen videos of them praying to him.
Yeah, like more or less. Yeah. But like everyone has this like not everyone, but these people have this like belief that Trump is going to gonna like save everyone from this like corruption in the government and all this
Yeah,
stuff. And
of course.
now it's kind of like what people are saying on this like side of the media is that Trump is actually the Pied Piper is what they're calling him. And so he's
What?
been picked
Pied
as
Piper?
the guy who's like they're gonna like make him be president and like dupe everyone, and then he's actually working with the very people everyone doesn't think he's working with. Like this is like the Illuminati crap, you know? This is not
Mhm,
like
mhm.
you know, so it's just funny like how I'm like, my gosh, the paranoia never ends, and I'm like, it doesn't really matter, like we're effed either way, like it doesn't
Bro,
really matter.
telling you,
So but
my
it's just
guy
kind of funny when
is perfect.
Yeah, I hear that. That's interesting to that, like, it's being put into an eye like that. I guess it's not really part of the topic, but I think a lot of similarities can be
no.
drawn, a lot of parallels, which is weird.
I
Yeah, it's
mean,
just
yeah,
people are crazy. Doesn't really matter. People are just nuts. So
I
like,
Yeah.
mean, you're not
yeah.
wrong, yeah. Definitely. People are definitely crazy nowadays. Everybody talks about I've heard this a lot. They're like, "Why the fuck is everybody acting crazy now? Like, what the hell happened?" And
Well,
I'm just
I
like,
think everyone's
people have always been crazy
yeah, it's
throughout
just
history.
easier to put that persona out into the
Yeah.
world now, you know?
Well, because we have freaking social media and we
Yeah.
got the
Yeah.
internet. Like, life before
Yeah.
the internet was really just like hard to really communicate a lot of stuff. Like, you had newspapers, you had television. I
Mhm.
mean, even if you go back further, like, we were talking about H.H. Holmes and how he just went from one place to another and was
Mhm.
able to just change his name and be somebody else. Like, back then, you could get away with so much more than you can, like, today because everything's just digital. You can get anything you want, whether it's true or not, at, like, the push of a button.
Mhm. It's crazy, dude.
It's insane. I mean, like, I don't know, and a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions too on a lot of different topics,
Mhm.
which, I mean, it's whatever. Like, we all have our opinions. Hitler had a lot of opinions,
Mhm.
as we talked about last time, and
Yeah.
you know what they say about opinions, everybody's got one and they all stink, like,
They're
I'm
all poopy,
exactly. They all suck.
especially ours. Um,
No, just
no.
kidding, yeah.
So yeah, so sorry, where was I? Okay.
Yeah,
Let me explain to you why the invasion of France was so important in Hitler's like decision to invade the Soviet Union.
mhm,
So September 3rd, 1939, it was 2 days after the invasion of Poland, and that was a joint operation, Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia, and this was after they had done their non-aggression pact.
yeah,
They invade France, or sorry, Poland, and then France and Britain both declare war on Nazi Germany.
yeah,
And so this is really where the idea of Operation Barbarossa came to fruition, was because after France was taken over,
mhm,
Nazi Germany needed more like supplies, really.
yeah,
So, because they're fighting a war on a bunch of fronts, essentially, right?
yeah,
And so Hitler at this point thinks to himself, what a better way to get more supplies than to go into Soviet Russia with the country that I made a pact with,
yeah,
attack their main cities and stop their own like distribution of supplies to their armies.
mhm,
um then so it just like doesn't really make sense in my opinion. It was almost like Hitler was was like too conceited in himself and the ability of the German armies.
You know what he really needed in this time before he made, like, any of these decision?
Post nut clarity.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. He needed some serious post-nut clarity,
Oh
like
yeah, he needed that post nut.
like, I bet you that's what it was. He just had all of this, like, rage built in, and he just didn't, like, release it at all. He was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Imagine if he could
see,
have got
come
a
on."
hooker, he would have saved millions of lives.
Damn.
Probably, dude. Like, he probably should have gotten a few hookers, but maybe he did because,
I'm
rumor
sure
has it
he
he had
did.
syphilis.
I'm sure he did. I can't imagine he didn't. But yeah, so he thought it was a great idea, and they end up invading Soviet Russia,
That's the stupidest thing you could have done.
which is crazy, dude.
Yep.
See, and this is the thing is, again, Adolf Hitler was a very like he was very conceited and he thought he like knew best.
Yeah,
And so, and you'll learn about this a lot, but he started to fire a lot of his like generals, a lot of his like right hand people because he thought he was smarter than them. He thought that he would be able to come up with a better attack plan than they would. Um, but instead of listening to him, he fires them because they say even if he put in like this rule that if anybody even thought about or said like retreat, you would get murdered or not murdered. You'd just be put to the death, right? And so that was kind of like his again, it just kind of shows how aggressive he is of a person to be so like conceited about his decisions, you know? Um and so yeah, that's really what came or made him believe that he could invade Russia. And so they
yeah,
do it on three fronts. And in the beginning, Germany, like Nazi Germany was actually doing really really well.
yeah,
They started to really put a lot of pressure on the Soviet Union, and it started to cause a lot of issues because obviously, um, Stalin like was completely quote unquote blindsided by this decision.
yeah,
So it was said that Stalin did get a lot of warning that Hitler was going to attack,
yeah,
but he refused to believe it for whatever reason. Um, and I don't really, there's not like a solidified thing because it was just like he had this, apparently there was this very good informant that was, um, for that was a informant for Soviet Union. And
yeah,
he told Stalin multiple times saying, Hitler, there's like solidified evidence that he's going to try to attack us. And he's like, nah, like don't, trust trust me, he's not going to attack. Like he needs us because in the beginning he wanted to gain access to the Soviet Union's like military bases, right? And so he did his best to try and make that happen for him because he wanted to like get Germany's forces to the point where he could start putting Soviet Union to the side, right?
yeah.
And eventually he did, you know. Go ahead.
I mean, like, dude was not thinking at all when he made any decisions. Like, I just don't understand. Hitler literally just got in his own way when he fired all these people and when he
Yeah, he
went
did.
full crazy.
Uh-huh.
He just like he got in his own way. Like one thing that you can do, like Socrates, he talks about this. He says that in one of his, I can't remember which one it is. It might be the defense of Socrates, but in there he talks about how he knows he is wise because he knows nothing.
Right.
And he says that's how he
Oof.
figures out like other people how that claim to be wise that aren't actually wise because he'll go back and forth with them and poke holes in everything.
Mhm.
But it's the same thing with like Hitler. If he just admitted like, "Hey, I don't know everything,"
Mhm.
that would have made him a lot smarter and he could have surrounded himself with I surround myself with a lot of smart people, the best people,
The best people.
absolutely amazing people. My lawyer, she's amazing. She's super sexy. She turns on all the jurors.
Ah, hell
Like
yeah.
if he could have just accepted that he didn't know everything, he probably could have he could have done better. And um I say that, but and it's like scary. Like if
Mhm.
Hitler didn't get in his own way, like that would be scary, like,
Dude,
if
we could be in a completely different world.
without
Completely
Jews.
different world. Without we literally could be surrounded by Nazis everywhere.
Yeah,
Because the big thing here to note is if Nazi Germany was able to actually take over the Soviet Union, gain access to the main places, which would have been Moscow and Line Sorry if I butchered that name, but those were the main places where there were supplies, there
yeah,
was oil, there was ammunition, there was clothing, everything was there. And if Nazi Germany was able to make it into the heart of Russia and retrieve those supplies and start sending it out to their troops
yeah,
uh, on the further edges of the attack, that the war could have gone very different. Like we literally could be here in like Nazi America. I know that sounds so far
yeah,
fetched to think about, but it is kind of crazy the things that had to come into play, and especially
yeah,
Hitler's arrogance
mhm,
to make him lose the war. Like,
yeah,
I think in the beginning stages of his life, and we spoke about this the last episode, is that he was so efficient in getting into power that it almost made him seem like surreal. It was like, dude, this guy's like a genius. How did he get up to power so quick?
yeah,
But then you start looking at his war tactics and all the weird shit that he did, which was probably part in fact to do with like the meth and all the shit he was on.
yeah,
It didn't make him it probably made him think completely skew wampus.
yeah,
um but yeah, so it's very interesting the world like to think about the world we could be in if he would have just listened to his generals and stuff. It's weird.
it's crazy.
um but
You know, call me Star Spangled Stupid, but, like,
Star Spangled Stupid.
I still like, even if he took Russia, I don't think he would have won the war just because USA, baby! USA! USA!
Well, dude, no, but that's the thing. That's the freaky thing is that at, during that time is when the he was attacking Britain
Yeah,
and they started losing a lot of supplies, so they had to retreat essentially,
yeah,
because they didn't have enough like I mean supplies to continue on with the war. That's the
yeah,
issue, and so um, if he would have gotten that, let's just say in the world that he is able to take over Moscow.
yeah.
He gets those supplies. What happens to Britain then?
They were buying stuff from the USA, baby. Until we got into the war.
Mhm.
We were actually selling I think we were selling to both sides.
That's true. Yeah, we were.
We were selling to both sides, but, like, they were buying a lot from us. It wasn't until we got into the war to where, uh, things kind of, like, turned, I guess.
Mhm.
I think it was actually really I don't know. I think and this is the globalist in me, I guess.
A
I'm not
globalist.
really a globalist, like, I don't think we should meddle in other countries' things, but, like, when Germany started doing a lot of this invading Poland, like, that should have rose like a red flag in the United States, and then when
Mhm.
they invaded France, who is one of our allies, that should have, like, sounded the alarm to where we gotta be like, "Okay, guys, like, we need to go in, and, like,
Mhm.
this is not
What?
going to end here." Like,
Mhm.
this and,
Well,
there's this pact with Russia, you have this pact with, um, Italy,
Mhm.
and you got Japan, and you have all these people who are in this, like, pact with Germany. Like, yeah, you gotta be a little scared now.
Right.
And, we were just kind of not paying attention. I mean, we were dealing with our own stuff,
Mhm.
but
Well, and during this time though, that's another thing too. I think that
it's a
just to
foreign threat.
yeah, just to kinda get to echo what you were saying, um, America at this time, it was right after World War One.
Yeah.
And so the mindset through the United States was we want to be almost like pacifists.
Yeah.
We don't want to deal with another war, or
Yeah.
especially a world war. And so, again, that's why we tried to keep out of it for so long. And another thing that I wanted to mention too, and you mentioned France, was he was I mean, him and Benito Mussolini,
Yeah.
they were tight, bro, but not really, actually.
Oh.
They like hated each other. So, and that's a interesting thing is that he made this pact with France or sorry,
Yeah.
Italy because he needed another ally, right?
Yeah.
You're fighting a war on three fronts at this point.
Yeah.
You got like Egypt down to the to below them essentially, and then to the left you got Britain, and now you've got Soviet Union,
Yeah.
and so he needs to make another ally, and he chooses one of the most insane, like volatile people to make an ally with, Benito Mussolini. Like the dude is crazy, bro.
Match made in heaven, both of
Yeah,
those
match
2.
made in heaven. There was a there was there was a story that I read that they went into a meeting and they like were arguing so much that people outside could hear them yelling and like pounding their fists on the table, just going
Oh
ape at
my
each other.
gosh. I could just imagine, like, Hitler's are like, "Nein, nein, nein! Sprechen die Deutsch! Nein!"
Do you think
And
they have translators? Like,
Oh,
like the translators are just like going between them and like fighting. The translators themselves are like getting in a physical fight, just translating what Mussolini and Hitler are saying to each other.
they're
you
just
just got,
oh
like,
man, that'd be so
Mussolini,
funny.
like, laughing and yelling, like, one of those manic laughs where, like, somebody's about to end your life type
Yeah,
yeah,
like almost like a Patrick Bateman laugh.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's just, like, doing one of those laughs, and then he's just like, "Cállate, hijo de puta!"
What the
That's, like, Spanish, but, like,
Yeah,
I don't speak Italian, so
I speak Italian.
that's the best I can do.
Italian. Um,
Alfredo,
Alfredo
Alfredo? Spaghetti?
you want
spaghetti.
some Alfredo
Oh
spaghetti?
yeah. um, so yeah, the Operation Barbosa began June 22nd of 1941, and again, just to emphasize, the Soviet Union was technically caught by surprise by all of this
Yeah,
because Stalin did not want to prepare any of the troops for any of it because they didn't see it as a potential issue.
yeah,
But Hitler wanted to enact or utilize the same maneuvers that he used when he took over Poland with Blitzkrieg. So they call it the pincer.
yeah,
Essentially, what happened was he started from three different sides, and the German troops just tried to encroach and almost like cut Russia off or Soviet Union off from the rest of the world. So
yeah,
they're circling them and they're trying to get to the middle section where it's Moscow.
yeah,
Um, and during this time, they're having great success, like I had mentioned before. And so Hitler's like, okay, this is going to go by super quick. I'm
yeah,
going to be able to get my hand on Russia and control it
mhm,
ASAP. So I'm not worried about it. So he tells everybody to continue on and do what they're doing.
yeah,
And this is where a lot of like the funny stories or like the famous stories about like
yeah,
it's so cold in Russia. Like you don't in Russia, you don't attack Russia attacks you or like that
yeah,
crap, like um so what ends up happening, and I'm sure you guys can guess, is the winter weeks come, the winter months come, and then the temperatures start to change. And this is really where the tide changes for Russia and where the tide changes for the worse for Germany.
yeah,
Because again, Hitler was so convinced that he knew how to do it. He knew that he was going to be able to get it right. That he didn't send out any new supplies to the German soldiers, especially new clothes for the winter months, because he
yeah,
said, "Well, we're in the summer now. Again, this was in September. Well, technically summer. Uh, we're in the fall days now.
mhm,
Um, we should be able to get them over within a few weeks."
yeah.
Do you guys want to know how long this actually took?
I'm gonna guess 12 weeks.
No,
6 months.
6 months. I don't know. Let's see. No,
Oof.
it was about
Oh,
52
900
weeks.
days.
900 days.
Yeah, so a little over 3, 4 years.
3 years?
3 years.
Four
Yeah,
years?
3 years.
Yeah.
So
Holy
it took
cow.
him almost 3 years. So because keep in mind, he started to invade Russia in 1941, and then the war ended in 1944. So this pretty much took him to the end of the war.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's great. Or sorry. Not 1942. He started in 1941. Wait, did I say that already?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
1941. Um, so yeah, it's pretty crazy. It goes until 1943, and again, he was just so ignorant to the whole thing that he thought he was gonna be able to complete it. So winter months come and
Dwight, you ignorant
yeah,
slut.
Hitler, you ignorant slut.
Do you think
um,
he I almost think that Hitler would have actually, like, had world domination had he just not gone against Russia, had he used them as an ally and
mhm,
then gone against the rest of the world with them, like,
Yeah,
because they're right there pretty close to Great Britain, and then, like, I mean, the US still would have been a wild card because of, like,
yeah,
nuclear bombs and all that kinda stuff,
right.
but because it could have been like instead US is like, how about instead of dropping 2 bombs, we drop 200 and just wipe them all off the face of the map. But
Which would be
I don't
insane.
know. I
USA, baby.
definitely was a blunder.
Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, just to echo what you
Yeah.
said, and we mentioned it a little bit earlier, is honestly, it's very weird to think of a world where that could be a potential thing because it's just his arrogance and his ego that got in the way because
Yeah,
he also got super bent on trying to take over Stalingard.
yeah,
And do you want to know his reasoning behind it? And this isn't like 100% sure or 100% fact. This is what people think is the reason, but he was so bent on trying to take over Stalingard was because it was named after
yeah,
Stalin. And he was like, what's going to hurt Soviet Russia more is if I take this city named after their leader, and it's going to be huge, like morale destroyer for
yeah.
them. Um,
I don't think that was true, but
well,
Yeah.
and bring up your, I mean, whatever
like if
you think
someone
is,
took Mar-a-Lago, like I wouldn't be like, "Oh my god, like
yeah.
the war is over, like Trump lost Mar-a-Lago." Like I wouldn't give two shits.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give two shits at a
Yeah,
handbasket. I'm
but
like, "What do you mean?"
also Brennan, like, I what I was gonna say is um, like the US is not super united at the moment, but I
Yeah,
feel like if someone was to attack the US on our own soil, especially if it wasn't Mar-a-Lago first, like say they attacked either California or New York since they're on coasts and they
yeah,
invaded and it was like I mean, because 9/11 united the whole country so much. And then
yeah,
they take Mar-a-Lago and especially during the time that Trump was president, I
yeah.
think we'd be like, "Oh, hell nah." I think it would be a little bit different when the country is more unified versus like right now, like
We'd be
even if they
pissed.
took DC, I think we'd be like, well, that sucks, but I mean, we'll find someone else to run the country. I guess the other guy wasn't doing a great job anyways. It's like, I don't know, but
Politicians are a dime a dozen. We got this. USA, baby.
yes, yeah,
So
throw another one up there. They're just puppets anyways.
damn. So another thing to note though with what you're saying, because I get what your like thought process is, right?
Yeah,
But one important thing is that in Russia during this time,
yeah,
a lot of the Russian people were taking up arms. Like they were fighting the war for Russia or Soviet Union. Sorry, I
yeah,
keep saying um Russia, but the a lot of the people in the Soviet Union where they would destroy their homes, destroy any like food supplies that they had in their homes.
yeah,
And there's a certain name that they called it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they would burn down everything. And this was to slow down the German armies so they didn't have a place to lodge.
yeah,
They didn't have any supplies, as well as the people would fight. And that's part and why the Stalingard and Moscow both
yeah,
were not taken by the Nazi Germany and their troops,
yeah,
was because of the people. And so Hitler's thought was, well, if I can take over Stalingard, then it's going to make the people feel like, ah, shit, like we're done for. You know, one of our
yeah.
strongest cities is gone now. And that's another interesting thing too, is that Stalin made a big deal about making sure to stay in the Soviet Union. Was he would still make appearances outside. He would still like hold events and stuff. He even held like a big
He's like
uh
fucking Trump, dude.
yeah, dude, he was just like he just held a big fat middle finger to the German troops,
Yeah.
like, crazy, dude. The guy had
I'm here,
some
come get me.
cojones, bro.
I'm here, come get me.
Yeah, seriously though.
He does like I'll do this sometimes like um when I challenge somebody on something, one thing I'll like say to them, I'll like look them in the eye and I'll be like, blink, bitch. Like
You're such a menace, dude.
Blink, bitch. Like,
Do you say the words "blink, bitch"?
yeah, I'll
I think
literally like,
if someone said that to me when I was arguing with them, I think I'd punch them right in the mouth. I don't think I'd even hesitate. I'd be like, "You son of a bitch." But I
well, yeah, I
also
mean, it's a
am
dick
pretty
move.
aggressive.
Like, it's a dick move, but like in the moment, it shuts people down pretty quick.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because like they're already quiet and you don't know they're getting like angry, and then like you just challenging me, just like blink, bitch. Like, what are you gonna do?
It's like, I know you are, but what am I?
Kinda. But like that's basically what Stalin was doing. He was like, hey, Hitler, blink, bitch. I'm right here. So like, yeah, I definitely get that. I'm just something that like really gets me is like I think Germany could have taken Russia and they could have like had their power and everything, and the USA would have still won, like still won the war. Like
Mhm,
that's a hill I'll die on because there's nothing better that the United States exports than war. Like,
mhm.
I mean, our
Well, I mean,
country was
that's what
founded on war.
that's exactly what Hitler tried to do, right? Is we
Yeah,
had so many ships out on the ocean with
yeah,
supplies, with war supplies, and so he said, "F them, I'm gonna bomb those fools."
yeah,
You know, like, that was another again, just another arrogant thing to do by him,
yeah,
like, he was just stupid, but I do, like, see where you're coming from, I
yeah.
totally get that.
I mean, the US, like, we spend so much money on our budgets. Like, we have some of like even in World War I, like we
Mhm,
had some of the best tech out there.
mhm,
Like, we always, like, innovate, and our industrial process, like, when it's wartime, America comes together, kind of like what you were saying about 9/11. But America comes together, and they get into manufacturing, and they go and they do all this shit, like, we can like, even women during World War II, like,
yeah,
they got jobs in the factories, and you
right.
have, like I don't know if this was World War I or World War II, but you have Rosie the Riveter, like, the poster with the
I believe that was World War II.
you have her like encouraging women to go out there and work. Like, your men are fighting. Now let's do our job at home as American citizens. And like, we can build stuff quickly and just get war stuff out there. Like, if there's something good like about America, it's like we can do war.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, we still have some of the best tech in the world. Like, there's a reason why most countries don't fuck with us.
yeah.
It's because we have like the biggest dick on the block.
Or we
Drone
claim
strike, bitch.
Exactly. Well, Barack Obama liked to do some drone strikes in Afghanistan and Iraq. Like, he was really
Yeah.
good at those. Yeah. There's like these jokes
He's
on
just
on
flying a
YouTube about
drone
it too.
himself. He doesn't even have anyone do it.
For real, he's just chilling in the war room,
now.
like, let's go bomb some children. Like, yeah.
You think you can hide? You can't hide. Like little kids.
Hello, Americans.
That
It's
sounds
me,
like
President Barack Obama. I'm here to let you know that I just bombed some children. Yeah,
Oh
me,
my gosh.
President Barack Obama.
So effed.
Look at my husband, Michael.
What the hell?
And she hates her fat children. She does. And we're gonna ruin your school lunches because
No
fuck
more
you.
burgers for you, you fat ass children.
Dude, do you remember in junior high when they changed everything to like healthy shit in the vending machines?
Yeah.
That sucked so bad. And then
So
I got gummy worms and they're just like we called them boners because they're hard as rock because they were
I
like fake
don't
gummy worms.
I do not remember that.
I don't either, but like,
Really?
God, that's insane. I had no idea. But like, I remember that, and I was like, where am I gonna get a goddamn Snickers now in the middle between like dealing with wood shop and English? Like,
Yeah.
being in
Trying to
junior
avoid Mr. Moody's hands.
I know. I was trying to avoid his name because I was like, there's a lot to go into with that man.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah,
out here.
sorry.
Do you guys remember when we'd, stick the sweaters into the vending machine? Because
No.
it so the way that the vending machine worked was you would make your selection, it'd go pick up the selection, it was like one of those automated ones, and
Oh,
then it'd
yeah.
throw it into that canister, and then a small door would open. But if you pried it just a little bit, you could open the door that would slide open
Yeah.
for you to get your shit, and then there was a small little sensor at the bottom that would tell the system, "Hey, their stuff was delivered."
Yeah.
And so what you would do is you open that before you order anything and you shove like a shirt in there
Yeah.
so it doesn't see anything change.
Yeah.
And so then you make your selection you get your free drink because then the thing is that you would do. I'm just like outing myself for just like
It's okay. I'm sure
stealing.
there's like statute
You
of limitations
thief.
on this.
Yeah, 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 I'm a thief. Um, but yeah, so you do all this stuff to make it free because once you order it, you drop your food in, and the system doesn't realize that you've actually gotten your stuff. It thinks
Yeah.
you haven't, and so it refunds you your money. It was
Just
awesome.
like do it over and over again. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I would
I
do it.
respect that.
I would do it in between
It's like
classes. I'd say,
alchemy.
"Mom, I'm to the bathroom." Yeah, because you could do it quick. If you had like $1.50 on you and you just go
Yeah.
shove like anything in there. And you didn't want it to close because sometimes it'd get jammed. So if you
Yeah.
put something small in there. Anyway, this is really off tangent. Um,
No, it's fine.
I digress. But
No, 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 like, it all ties back into kind of what we were talking about earlier about,
supplies.
USA and supplies and just,
Yeah.
like, manufacturing. It's crazy, like,
Yeah.
the job I have now, I manufacture stuff,
Mhm.
and, like, it's amazing what one person can get out in one day.
Right.
Like, one 10-hour shift, the amount of stuff, like, you can get out into the world it's crazy.
Dude, and then that's not even considering like automation at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously now automation has been increased substantially from World War I, or sorry, from World War II till now. But when there's a pressing issue and people need to evolve or create, I think that's when creation happens the most. I mean,
Yeah.
and we're going to discuss this. There's going to be probably just one single long episode regarding the Manhattan Project because it is insane. The
Yeah.
the the amount of infrastructure that had to go in, the brains, the product, the supply that had to go in to do what the Manhattan Project did
Yeah.
is absolutely insane. It is insane. And so to think back and say, "Oh, well, look at the Manhattan Project,"
Mhm.
and then to try and compare like or not to compare, but then to apply that just what not a small group of people, but not as large as a big group of people trying to prevent a war,
Yeah.
um, were able to do, you upscale that to a whole entire military, a whole entire country. It's insane.
Oh, it's
It's
crazy. It's
insane what we can do.
absolutely nuts.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, so to go along with what you're saying is, and Parker, what you had said was like, if Germany would have been able to get to those supplies, I think the world would be so different. Again, I know we said that
Mhm.
already, but it's just crazy because again, the amount of stuff that came into play for them to lose was like so lucky and
Yeah.
is so we owe a lot of it to Hitler.
Yeah.
So again,
It's
winter
kind of like
comes.
BYU. Like when BYU loses, they don't say that they lost. They're just like, we beat ourselves.
Yeah.
BYU, where
Yeah,
the girls are
exactly.
girls and the boys are too.
Yeah.
Knit one,
Okay.
pearl two, BYU. Yoo-hoo!
Okay, okay. Let me tell you, just a little tangent here. Just a small one.
Let's hear it.
This is interesting about BYU. You guys would not believe how many closeted gay kids there are in BYU.
There's a lot
There
actually.
Of
is a
course.
fuck
Yeah.
ton. Like, if
Yeah.
you pull out Grinder and you're near BYU, like you're
No
like,
shit.
yeah,
Oh, wow. I
yeah,
didn't I know
Daddy
that there's
DL, like all this stuff.
I know there's a lot of, like, students there that obviously, especially like a few years back when all that stuff came out with
Yeah,
like that they didn't support gays and stuff. Like there was a lot of students that came out during that time, I think.
yeah,
And it was almost like they almost coerced them into doing it. Do you remember
yeah.
that?
Oh, I remember for
That was
sure.
Yeah.
so crazy. But yeah, I thought from that there was still a lot of students there that were, but that's interesting that
Just the
because I
most
guess you'd have
loving
the
church.
yeah, right.
Bring them young and bring them often.
That's whack. Okay, so winter comes. Sorry, I've said that sentence like 15 times now, but we just keep going on these wonderful tangents.
They
But
just relate, that's all.
yeah, they do relate. So it was said that temperatures got down to minus 45 degrees
Dang.
Celsius, which is crazy. Um, the other issue with it being so cold was a lot of their ammunition. So, like for their tanks and whatnot,
Yeah,
they needed, excuse me, they needed lubricant for
yeah,
it to go through, like the artillery to go through the tanks, like what's the thing? Like their barrel.
yeah.
That's what word I was looking
The
for.
oh
So
yeah.
they needed. Sorry, go ahead, Parker.
Well, I was gonna guess what you were saying, but then I was totally wrong anyways, so it
Oh,
wasn't nothing.
that's all right. Sorry. So, yeah, they needed lubricant on the artillery shells to go through the barrel. Otherwise, they couldn't fire them, or
Yeah.
they would try and fire them and they would catastrophically like destroy that tank.
Yeah.
Bad.
Just blow
And
up everything.
seriously. And so this was a big issue because they didn't prep for any winter season. And so none of the shells that are trying to come out of these tanks are working. A lot of their machinery is just not built to withstand this much cold. And so they're just breaking down.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the German troops actually were got used to lighting fires underneath their trucks and stuff
Yeah.
to get them to start because everything would just freeze.
Dang.
And so, but then this caused two issues. It caused potential for explosion
Yeah.
due to some sort of ignition of any flammable uh, liquids or gases, whatever. And it also, if you're trying to stay covert, it essentially you're like doing like a, hey, I'm right here, shoot me.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these troops would light their fires to stay warm, first of all, and to warm up their supplies and stuff. And they would die from self-inflicted explosion, or they
Yeah.
would get killed by the the Soviet Union, the troops that were there. And so
How did they not die from, like, exposure and stuff
they
from that?
did. That and that's what I was gonna hop into next is a lot of them started to die from exposure. It just got too cold and night, and because Hitler was so arrogant and he didn't send out any supplies for the winter, a lot of his troops started dying because they were too cold. They couldn't hang. They didn't have food. They didn't have any warm clothes. They didn't have
Yeah.
places to stay. Again, keep in mind every time that they're moving forward, the German troops, the citizens of the Soviet Union are burning down their homes. They're
Yeah.
burning their clothing, their beds,
Yeah.
their pillows, whatever it might be, and it was making it really difficult for the German troops to continue to proceed forward without getting this very crucial line of supplies they
Yeah.
needed, And so it was almost again like they beat the war, or they lost the war due to themselves,
Yeah.
or not due to themselves, but due to Hitler's decisions. And instead of just focusing on one single area, let's just say
Mhm.
he redirected all of his troops to go to Stalingrad,
Yeah.
right? Then he would have been able to focus on that one small thing and then get the supplies he needed.
Yeah.
Then that can be distributed to the rest of whatever else he's at,
Yeah.
and then we could see a completely different world right now.
In all honesty, you know what Hitler really needed?
Post nut clarity.
I mean, he needed that,
Just
but
kidding.
he really needed, like, in all seriousness, he needed a Dick Cheney.
A Dick Cheney. Yeah. Well, he did have Dick Cheney's. That's the thing. And then he fired him.
He needed, like, the Dick Cheney, like, the shadow government Dick Cheney, where he's, like, working behind the scenes, like, George Bush is, like, the president, but you got Dick Cheney who's really the president. He's like, "Arr, arr, arr," and he's running all this, like,
Hitler's
behind
ego was way too big for that.
True. He would have never let somebody do that.
he needed a Dick Cheney. Think of well, you know what? Let's go into this just a little bit more. Let's take it a little notch deeper here. Throw on our tinfoil hats for a second, because
Mine was
hear me
on.
out. Dick Cheney, Dick Cheney helped use the magical ritual of 9/11,
Mhm,
him and George Bush,
mhm.
allegedly, to bring about the New World Order.
Okay.
Now, Hitler, he was into some magic practices too, allegedly. So if Hitler had somebody like Dick Cheney there to help him with his magic
Mhm,
and to help him bring about the New World Order earlier, maybe Hitler could have been more successful. Maybe he
mhm.
just needed that magic.
He just needed that magic,
He
that
j-
magic penguin.
exactly.
So yeah, and again, like the cold really started it for him and them losing the battle for the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
And again, another like just to echo what I had said earlier, there was so much internal conflict between Hitler and his higher commanders because they didn't agree at all
yeah,
with what he was doing. There was a lot of the front line was like, "This is useless, we're gonna lose this regardless of whatever the hell happens,"
Yeah.
and so a lot of these commanders were either being killed or quitting or just stepping down or fleeing,
Yeah.
because they didn't want to be part of, like, the really horrible decision
Yeah.
making. And this obviously caused a ton of issues for Hitler because then he starts losing the like trust of his troops,
Yeah.
right? Oh, another thing too is Hitler appointed himself like commander in chief over
Right.
everything. He fired all of his generals, right? And he decided, I'm going to make all the decisions for the German army.
Yeah.
And so he starts losing the like one of the main things that he had in the beginning over the people of Germany,
Yeah.
right? Was his charisma, his like
Exactly.
his political kind of thoughts of being able to make people just like love him.
Right.
He starts losing that, and that in turn makes Hitler start acting very erratic,
Yeah.
right? And it starts to make him do really stupid shit again.
Because now
Um
his ego's damaged. Because
right.
people don't like him.
Exactly.
He's like, "Oh my god, people don't like me," and narcissists can't handle that.
Mhm.
Narcissists, like, they need people to like them, and they need people to, like, accept them, but, like,
Mhm.
at the same time, they don't give a fuck about you. They give all the fucks about themselves.
Mhm.
And so that's, like, a huge part of it, and Hitler was a huge narcissist, and what Hitler needed to do is he needed to stay in his lane. Hitler is really good at riling the people up in getting this nationalist feeling going in Germany to where they're like, "Yes, we can do this. We got this. Germany number 1. Woo
Right.
woo."
Mhm.
They forgot about America. Just kidding.
Well,
But
no, that's another big thing too, and we can hit on that in just a minute. But when America joined, that's like really what shifted all the power.
yeah.
So, but anyway, continue.
But yeah, he was really good at that. Like he was very charismatic and he was a leader to the people. Like he was somebody who they revered.
Mhm.
And if he's stuck in his lane of just doing that kind of shit and let the
Mhm.
generals do their kind of shit,
Yeah.
he would have been so much better off and he would have had so much more support. Um and this brings me up. I just want your guys' opinion real quick.
Yeah.
Who do you think the most successful world leader has been? Like overall? Take a
Ooh,
guess because I think
Gandhi, dude.
you think Gandhi.
Mhm. Or not Gandhi. What am I saying? Freak, what's his name? Oh
Muhammad.
crap! Why did I just forget his name? Did you say Muhammad?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I'm just trying to guess who you're saying. I have a really bad habit of like trying to fill in people's words for them.
Oh no, you're totally good. Well, who do you think? And then I'll bring up who I'm
The
thinking.
person who
um,
I think you could make a oh, go Parker.
well, what? So yeah, clarify the question. So you're saying the person who has made the most change for the better, is that what you said?
No, not even for the better. The person who has had, I guess, the who has been the most successful leader for a country. Like I
Success.
have
What's the determination, or what determines the success though? Successful how?
as pulling out their political ideology. We'll say
Like
that. We'll say that.
getting what they want done.
Yeah, getting what they want done, getting control of the country, getting what they want, basically. Like, I have a pretty strong argument for one of these people. But I want to know what you guys
In
think.
all of history?
All of history. You can pick anybody.
Um,
I think Gandhi. I misspoke when I said Gandhi, but if
Yeah.
you do think about it, like he, I mean, mind you, he wasn't an aggressive leader, but he was probably one of the greatest leaders of all time.
Yeah.
But are you thinking more aggressive?
It could be anyway, just a leader, somebody who, you know what? I'll just tell you my answer right now. My answer is Mao Zedong.
Dude, that's what I was gonna say. I just found him.
Mao
Literally.
Zedong.
I was gonna say Mao Zedong. Not
He
kidding.
is the best leader of all time, in my opinion. And I think it's pretty defendable. Like you can
Mhm,
defend that
mhm,
because, he was a dictator. He had control of his country. He took it in the direction he wanted to of communism.
mhm.
And even to this day, they have pictures of this man and they revere him as an amazing person and think that he's just great and he did so much good for China, but he made China communist. He made it kind of very like strict lockdown.
Mhm.
And out of all dictators, from what I remember being taught in school, this could have changed and maybe they found more evidence, but he killed the most people. He was the biggest murderer. He killed so many people, like, and a lot of them were his own people.
Yep.
And yet his name is still revered in China. Like Mao Zedong is seen as this great guy. Like his
So
legacy is going to,
just to give you an idea of the deaths and like killings that he made, it was estimated 40 to 80 million victims.
and I think it'd be interesting to compare that to like Hitler's,
Yeah. So, and I do have
because
a,
everybody says Hitler's like the worst person, but even Stalin killed more
yeah,
people
Stalin
than
killed more
Hitler.
people. So I do have a breakdown. So Adolf Hitler was 17 million, Stalin was 23, and Mao Zedong again was upwards of 80.
Isn't that crazy? But yet the one who gets the most hate in history is Hitler.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably mainly because it was so highly directed toward a certain group of people,
Well, Mao Zedong too. Like there's a
Who did
specific
Mao Zedong hate?
um
his own people.
yeah, his own people, but like I think they're called like the Jaegers or something like that. I'd have to pull it up or the Jaegers. Like there's this different branch of kind of guess ethnicity of people there in China. I don't know a lot on
Mhm.
it, but even to this
It
day,
probably
there's
goes
still
back to
people.
like tribal, even like back
Yeah.
when,
Mhm,
there wasn't a country and it was like tribes more. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Like, they're still persecuted to this day, like, this group of people. Um, and yeah, it's crazy, and, Hitler, I think it really is because it's what they say, "The victors write the history books." Um,
Yeah.
and Mao Zedong, he won.
mhm,
He was a winner. Stalin was a winner. Like, these guys, they won. They were able to control the narrative.
mhm,
Like, if they lost power, um or were taken over by another country, like like a lot of this stuff probably would have come to light. But it's interesting because it didn't. And we have these past leaders who have massacred more than Hitler, but yet they are not seen as bad as Hitler. Like they're
mhm.
less bad, I guess. That's
I
a
think
terrible way to say it, but
no, I get what you're saying. I
It
think
makes me
another thing.
wonder, like, oh, sorry.
No, 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 go.
I was just gonna say, it makes me wonder, like, what's gonna be said about our day when we're dead? That's gonna be
yeah.
complete bullshit.
Mhm,
Oh yeah.
Like, they're gonna be like, yeah, the country's just never been more together and all this stuff, and finally, this and that. When it's like I don't know. Actually, I think I should quit saying that because I actually think the country's more unified than the media. I think the media wants us to feel like we're all separated and segregated when reality we all just want to mind our own business and be happy.
Well, yeah, they
yeah,
want us
that's
to
true.
feel divided because that sells. Like, if you have an enemy, you wanna, like, watch more about, like, who your enemy is, and you know what? There is
Yeah.
one news person who drives me up a wall. She isn't a she
Don't say it.
I'm, like,
Don't
trying
say
there's a word I wanna use, but I can't use it.
That's good.
Um, she's a whole she's
it.
a bitch. She's, like,
Who is it?
worse than that. It's Rachel Maddow. Like,
Rachel McAdams,
I don't
dude.
even know who that is.
Rachel Ma you don't know who she is? She's the most raging liberal, like, she's got a hard on for the Democratic Party, like, her boner for the Democratic Party is just
Oh
huge, she's
man.
just like, "Oh my god, Democrats and, like,
Here we go.
conservatives are stupid and this, that, and the other thing and all this shit," but she's dude, like, she looks like a dude. Um,
Mhm.
I'm gonna come after this bitch because she's like I
Michael's
hate this
sister.
woman so much. Oh my god. But, like,
Sister
no,
from another mister.
she is one of the most dividing people in news media today.
Yeah.
She's like
Her and
the
Trump.
equivalent she's like the equivalent of Tucker Carlson.
Oh, I hate that guy.
Like,
He's so annoying.
they're both so extreme in their views, and they both got hard-ons for, like, their own
Yeah.
beliefs that, like, yeah, they really wanna start shit. Like,
Mhm.
Tucker Carlson wants you to be all riled up and have these conservative values and think, "Oh my god, like my freedom's under attack," and all this kind of bullshit. And then you have Rachel Maddow on the other
Don't you
side.
think your
"Oh my
freedom's
god,
under
my
attack though?
freedom's under attack right now. My abortion, my homosexual marriages." Like they go at these different
No,
sides.
that's not
"Take my
okay, that's
gun."
not even fair to say though, because
Yeah,
that's well, okay. I don't watch a lot of Tucker Carlson, but I don't feel like most people, even extremely Republican people, I don't feel like most of them even care about homosexuality at this point. Like, I would consider myself pretty Republican, and I'm like, do what you want. Like, I want everyone to be happy, you know. But I think it's more the way that I feel like freedom's being attacked is that like you can't even say what you're thinking without worrying about pissing someone off and hurting someone's feelings. And I think it's bullshit. I think we all need to man up a little bit or woman
yeah,
up or whatever because it's bullshit that I can't say what I'm thinking or feeling or I'll get canceled. Like cancel
yeah,
culture is
yeah.
ridiculous. And like
It is.
that's the way my freedom I feel like is being taken. And then also the fact that we have these
That's
social
why I
media
call Rachel
platforms that
Maddow a
can take
cunt.
a yeah, yeah. But like it's so ridiculous that we have these social media platforms like it was Twitter or Facebook or whatever that it's their job as owners because they're a private business to decide what is news and what's not news and what's fake news and all that. And like I think you should be able to say whatever you want on there and it never should get taken down unless it's
Yeah,
like a video of someone getting murdered because that's just obviously not good to have like tons of people exposed to. But
yeah,
there should be almost no censorship in my opinion but you know I don't know it just pisses me off how everything is manipulated so much to where everyone is scared to just say what they're thinking. I'm like I want to know what you're thinking, just say it. I don't You're not going to hurt my feelings. If you think I'm an asshole, tell me I'm an asshole and we'll get over it. But like
yeah,
it's just bullshit to me that everyone is so scared of getting canceled. It's also bullshit that we even have a cancel culture. It's
yeah,
it just I mean, you're getting me riled up because it just makes me mad. But like I would say my views, I like the entertainment side of the crazy right wing. It's
yeah,
entertaining to me. I don't
yeah.
necessarily believe it all. You know what I mean? Like it gives you something to think about, but at the end of the day, like I just do my thing and don't really like I just like whatever. I'm still just gonna go to work tomorrow and do my thing, you know.
Right.
So, anyways, but like I don't know. I just feel like I can't even talk, and I have probably pretty middle of the line views on most things, and I
Yeah,
still am worried about getting canceled. You know, I mean, I think that every race is important. I think that I think that if you are gay or lesbian or whatever, like be with who you want to be. Like those are what I sincerely believe. I
like
think abortion is like abortion I think has its place if I'm being honest, but like I don't know that I would do it, but I also think it has its place. Like I'm pretty middle of the road, you know?
yeah.
And I still am like worried I'm going to be canceled. But anyways, huge tangent. I just got riled up, but
Well, yeah, like, but it definitely shows the political divide that they're trying to make in this country, and I don't think we're all that, like, divided. It's just these 2 extremes here because, like you said, it's entertaining. It gets
Mhm,
viewership, and so people will say some of the craziest ass shit out there,
mhm,
like, and it's dangerous. I will say it is dangerous because freaking we have a proclaimed communist in our American government right now, like,
mhm.
something that's not democratic friendly. Freaking AOC, dude. AOC, man, like or no, she's not a communist. She's a socialist. She's a socialist. My bad. Oh God, freaking AOC. You don't know Alexandria Ocasio Cortez? Before she was elected to office, this woman was a bartender. Like she went from bartender to being like in the government, like the federal government. I believe she's a what do you call it? No, it's she's in the house. Um, oh, she's a
House
representative.
representative, House of
Yeah,
Representative.
she's a house rep. She's not a senator.
Ah,
Um, yeah, but her and Elon Omar, however you pronounce her name, like,
mhm,
and there's like I think 3 other women, and they were like known the Gang of 5 or whatever, and
mhm,
they have these really extremist views. And you have people who are promoting that, and you even have on the right somebody who drives me absolutely fucking crazy is, freaking Representative he's from Florida, what's his name? Um, no, he's a governor. This guy's a representative. Um, Matt Gaetz. Oh my god, somebody makes me wanna drink every night. That man, I hate that man. Like, he li oh Okay,
So, like
last thing about this whole thing. The reason why it took so long to get McCarthy fucking elected as Speaker of the House is because of this man. Like, and he didn't even vote for McCarthy in the end. He just abstained from the vote. Like, that was his whole thing. He's like, fine, I'll just abstain from the vote. And he just is in charge of like this entire crazy side of the party. And you know what he also did? He ousted Speaker McCarthy of the speakership with literally less than a year of like him being Speaker of the House. And it was his fault. Like he put the government to a grinding halt. Like for somebody who says they're so proud of their nation and they want to do what's best for America and they go out and they just slow down government and stop what's going on. Like what a fucking retard. I mean, what a fucking idiot. I'm not allowed to say the R word, guys. God forbid. I'm so sorry.
I think so.
That was the last thing I wanted to say.
I think really like at its like what you guys are saying is obviously a tangent, but we can just bring it back to essentially what Germany was at the time,
Yeah.
right? Is like you just said, you have this leader that is supposed to propel the government forward
Yeah.
and make like the country great once again, and then he does the complete opposite at the begin or at the tail end of it, right?
Yeah.
And really that's what happened started happening here when he went over Soviet Russia, and I think a lot of people during this time, especially when Germany started to fall off, uh like fighting the war in the Soviet Union,
Yeah.
was when it really brought it home for a lot of the German people.
Yeah.
They started thinking to themselves like, "Oh shit, this war is like going to affect me now. It's starting to affect me."
Yeah.
Because prior to this, it was like you're just at home and your country
Yeah.
is out at war, but then they start to fall back on the front lines of Soviet Union, and they start to retreat from Britain and France at this time. Like it starts to really affect you at home
Yeah.
because then you start having to okay, now you need to go to work and start making clothes for these guys. Now you need to go send your kids off to start doing whatever.
Yeah.
And so during at this time, I think it became a lot more real for a lot more people in the German, like in Germany.
Yeah.
Prior to this, again, it was stated to be like the phony war, and I think it was that way until the invasion of Poland for a lot of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But for the people of Germany, it was like, oh, it's just a war that we're involved in. It
Mhm.
was like us with Iraq, for instance.
Yeah.
It didn't really affect us so much at home. For some people, I'm sure it did affect them quite a bit. But for your average Joe,
Yeah.
yeah, we're getting like this we're in this war, but we're not seeing it every day. At
Right.
least we're not noticing it every day. And I think that was the same for like the people of Germany at the time, until they started to lose the war, and
Yeah.
that's when it started to really affect them there. And I think that's really what started to lose a lot of the um, following that Hitler had
Yeah.
during that time, especially because all of his commanders were like fired or killed.
Yeah.
Uh, and so yeah, I think that's pretty much like what I wanted to go over with Operation Barbarossa.
Yeah.
Um, I know it was we had a few tangents in there, but I think they definitely add to really like what goes on in the world as well as what has happened.
Yeah.
Again, just to echo what Parker had said earlier about like you feel like you can't say anything, you can't like voice your opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest tragedies that has ever happened about people trying to be themselves, trying to voice their opinions.
I know Rachel Maddow, huge tragedy.
Yeah. But the Jewish people, they suffered greatly because they wanted to be their own person, right? Like,
Right.
imagine now if you were to be persecuted for your beliefs, which we are, like Parker was saying earlier. we're getting persecuted for our beliefs, for wanting to, like, say or do what we think is right,
Yeah.
right? And now in turn we're getting canceled for it, and that same thing happened back then, you know, like these people wanted to be themselves, they wanted to hold to what they believed to be true, and they got shafted for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's crazy that we got into this, or that we're like kind of referencing it. Obviously we're not to the extent of what it was then,
Yeah.
and hopefully we never get to that point ever, but it's interesting to see the parallels that can be drawn from then to now. Even if it was just, it wasn't even, I guess it was quite a bit long, or quite a long time ago now, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's all just like interesting, like coming together. Like they say that if you don't like learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it over again.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I feel like it's the same thing here. Like just talking to you guys about World War II and going into more of the like social factors about it and kind of what was going on. Like it definitely is a lot of eye opening things. Like we have somebody who's running for office
Mhm,
who wants to be president again of the United States, who's been indicted on many charges. Now, whether or not he gets convicted of those is to be determined at this
mhm,
time. But we have somebody who's doing this, and there's people who are he's so charismatic and he's so good at what he does,
mhm.
that he's risen to power. He has this cult following. Like
Right,
it really is a cult because it has its own culture. Like
right.
a lot of people have forgotten that the word cult is
Yeah, at its core,
driven.
it is culture. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not like a cult. Like, I think a cult has very
It's not its
negative
own
connotation.
word.
yeah,
Yeah. Cult has very
exactly.
negative connotation to it, and so when you say, like, it's a cult, I mean, yes, the word cult can mean negative things, but at the
Yeah,
same time, it also can describe a devout group of people, you
exactly.
know?
It has. I mean, people say Mormons are a cult, so like,
Right, yeah.
and
Because they are.
but oh my god, yeah. Um,
But no,
but
I totally get what you're
yeah,
saying. You know, you have this
people pray to
individual.
this man.
Right, you have this individual that's convinced you that things will get better under their rule, you
Yeah,
know? Again, it's just so odd. I know we continue to draw parallels or
yeah,
continue to bring this topic up, but it is just interesting to view these topics that happened, again, so long ago.
yeah,
And you said it yourself, you know, you said it best, and people have said it best before, you know, is that if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're bound to repeat them. It's just
yeah,
nuts. You know, hopefully we never get to that
What's
point, but never know.
what's kind of what's kind of crazy is that like because I'm a pretty I'm kind of like getting over this whole thing of like the US trying to be like the world's police and like messing with everyone. Like we've talked about it
yeah,
before, you know?
mhm,
And like what's funny though is like in reference to World War II, had the US not intervened, I'm not like I feel like, you know, the US I still don't think would have been you know, uh, overtaken by any other country, like,
yeah,
you know, here in the actual US. But I do think that you'd have way less countries over in, you know, in the eastern side of the world. I think that they would have made a lot further and like more lasting change. So it's like, I don't know, it kind of makes me rethink my perspective because I'm like pretty firm in like let's keep our dollars, our tax dollars here and all that kind of
right.
stuff. Like, let's let other countries worry about each other. But then at the same time, like, imagine if there's only like three countries over on the other side of the world because Hitler just took over that whole side with
Right.
Mussolini, you know?
Right.
For me, like I definitely agree. Like we shouldn't have to be the world's police force, and we shouldn't be getting involved in other countries because we fucked up a lot of other countries by doing that.
Mhm.
I think though, when it comes to World War II, where the Germans invaded Poland, and then they go and invade France, and then they go invade another country, and then they're making pacts with Italy, Japan, Russia. I mean, the Soviet Union wasn't our good friend at the time. I mean, they had different ideals. Like the Soviet Union was living under communism. Like there's the ideals are different, but those things set off alarm bells. And I feel like those alarm bells should be like an awakening, just being like, "Hey guys, things are getting really serious out there." There's
Mhm.
this country who's unhinged right now, and they're going out there and they're doing this thing. There's this super PAC, and they're just attacking our allies. They're attacking people that we're friends with, and we're just gonna sit by and, like, watch it happen. It's like, no, we should be a little bit more involved. We should be like these alarm bells. And I think I'm hoping we didn't learn in World War One or World War Two. If there's ever, God forbid, there be a World War Three, but if there is, I hope that we're not the ones who are gonna do it again, where we just pussyfoot. We just pussyfoot out of it, where we're just like, no, not like right now, but maybe like later. And it takes some big thing to happen, like Great Britain falls
Mhm.
or some other country falls to where um, we step in. And right now we have Russia and Ukraine, and we have Israel and what is it? Israel and is it Gaza? Is that who they're
Oh,
fighting with?
yeah, I don't know.
Israel and this other country, like those are like their disputes. Let's not get involved. Let's let them do their own disputes. I know that's not very popular because a lot of people want to help in Ukraine.
Mhm.
And so those are exactly. We stay out of that, but let's say we don't just have Russia getting invading Ukraine. I mean, I guess we should also be cognizant because Belarus is also involved in this war, and that's a pact with Russia. Like, there's people who are in a pact with Russia with this, but they're not all necessarily supporting this whole taking over things. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I feel like we should butt out of it because right now it is the Russia Ukraine war. Belarus is supporting Russia, but it hasn't gotten to the point to where Russia's like, okay, we're going to go into Uzbekistan or Kyrgyzstan,
Mm.
or we're going to invade India. Like, they're not trying to do this whole globalization thing. Like, if they start attacking more countries, like, yeah, that should raise alarm bells, especially because they have that pact there. It's almost like, oh, this is happening again. And maybe we need to step in and be like, yo, guys, this has to stop. These
Mhm.
countries are their own independent things. You got to stop right now. And like, that's how I feel. I don't think we should be sending troops into Ukraine right now. I don't feel like we should be spending as much money as some people would like to in the war of Ukraine. The only thing that would change my mind is if Ukraine was already a member of NATO, because I do believe NATO, that pact right there, which was actually created kind of to stop Soviet Russia and communism. Um, it would definitely change things because, you know, Putin and a lot of not people, but like Putin's trying to do a lot of this, taking back what was once part of Russia or once part of the Soviet Union. And so he's trying to reclaim these things, but these places have declared themselves as independent. These people don't want to go back to Russia. And if they're members of NATO, I think we have a duty to kind of protect our allies' independence because we didn't protect the independence of France in World War II. And look what happened to them.
Mhm.
We didn't stick with our allies. Like, if we have allies and, you know, we scratch their back, they scratch ours, I think that that's a pretty good deal. Like, I mean, now here's the issues. Now, we spend a fuck ton of money in NATO. We contribute more than any other country. Like, the United States spends a lot, and I think other countries need to contribute more. But I feel like pacts like that are necessary to keep other countries in check, to keep people in check, to not do kind of like what Hitler said, or not said, but what Hitler did. And you know, I know I'm talking big game about NATO and this kind of shit and countries spending more. I also feel the same way that we should leave the UN. So it's like take some, leave some. It's
Same.
it's your choice. But do you kind of get what I'm putting down?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right on like that. I mean, that's how I feel because it's like I don't want to say like F the world and we don't care, like because people are people and I believe that like, I care about other people's lives even if I don't know them, even if they live in other countries. Like I don't want people to just be dying. you know?
Yeah.
And so if people are dying because the US refuses to intervene whatsoever and they're getting invaded by, this other country, um, but I also think it goes both ways. If our allies are invading other people, I think we need to be like, hey, like knock that shit off or else we're not allies anymore. I don't think
Yeah.
we can just be like, well, they're our allies, so our hands are tied. Like, and then also I think that we'd spend a lot less money if we would just not say anything and then like, well, not necessarily not say anything, but like anytime anything happens, we just pull out the nuke card and we're just like, well, I mean, do what you want, but we'll nuke you. We've done it before. And I think that would really keep most people in their place. And if they say, fine, do it, you're like, okay, I will. And then we nuke them and then say, well, they wanted it. Like I don't think that is the best way to do it, but it would be effective. You can't deny me
Yeah.
that. Like,
Just straight up look at other countries who are, like, doing this shit and be like, "Blink, bitch."
yeah,
Closing your eyes.
exactly, exactly.
And,
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you about, like, what you said earlier about, um, how basically it's terrible that people are hurting in the world. And there's a time and a place for us to like act. And that was like a huge thing. Is there's a time and a place for us to act. And if we miss it, I feel like there's dire consequences. Like I feel like if the US stepped in sooner into the war and didn't wait till Pearl Harbor to happen, then a lot of
yeah,
lives could have been saved. Um, and who knows, like maybe we wouldn't have needed to nuke Japan. And that's a controversial topic in itself because I know
yeah,
we all feel a little bit differently about whether we should have nuked Japan or not. And we'll get into that when we talk more about the Manhattan
Manhattan
Project and
Project.
that. But again, just like it's not our job to take care of other countries. Other countries, like our allies, we need to keep them in check too. Like
Yeah,
we can't support bad ideals. Like we have to hold on to our own values and our own ideals and not impose those on other countries. But at the same time, when things are going against that and things are deviant from that and are morally wrong, like morality isn't subjective. Morality is not subjective. Pain is bad. That's a fact. Like people hurting, that's bad. That's a fact. You can't argue that people hurting and people dying is not bad. Like that's awful. It's
right.
terrible. I feel like there's no moral way to justify it. So morality is kind of set. Like we have this thing, anything that inflicts pain or causes some sort of negative effect on another person, like that is awful. That is terrible. But it's not our job to solve every goddamn problem in the world.
Yeah.
And so that's it. You know what? At the end of the day, I'm just an asshole with an opinion. And
Aren't we all, dude?
basically,
I'm
and
not,
so like
dude. I know everything.
Hell yeah.
basically, so I hope nobody gets so riled up about this because, in all honesty, I think we've been very fair on both sides of the aisle. I mean, I've I've been frustrated with both sides of the aisle, and I've expressed that
Oh yeah.
here today. Because I do consider
Well, I don't
myself
even think. Sorry, go ahead.
like I consider myself more of a centrist. Like if I had to say, anyway, I'd be more fiscally conservative because I like more money in my check. I looked today at how much was taken out of my check in taxes, and I 23% of my check went to taxes. And so I definitely would like to have more money, and I like the idea of a stable economy and one where it's not so, I guess, like crazy. But on the other side, like I guess technically you'd say socially, I'm more liberal because I believe in kind of what you said earlier. We're kind of on the same page, and a lot of people equate this with libertarian things. But, I heard this from somebody else, but I 100% agree with it. Politically, like socially, if two lesbians want to live on their marijuana farm and defend that marijuana farm with their two guns, like, God bless America. Like, let those people do it. Like, as long as you're not infringing on my rights and infringing and causing pain to me and suffering and being immoral about it, go ahead and do what you want to do.
Yeah. No, I think yeah, no, I'd say that's like it's funny. That's literally the definition I say when people ask me. I'm very capitalist or conservative on, the monetary side. But when it comes to social issues, I want people to pursue what makes them happy as long as it doesn't hurt other people as well. Like this BS where some people are trying to say that like pedophiles are going to be added to like the meaning of like the rainbow flag and stuff. I'm like, that is complete bullshit in my opinion, because kids aren't allowed to vote, but then they can have sex with a full grown man. Like it just doesn't, it shouldn't work like that. So
It's disgusting.
and that's just
And
my opinion, and cancel me if you want, but I'll die on that hill, so I don't care.
well, for real. And it is immoral because having sex at a super young age actually causes damage. Like that causes emotional damage. That causes mental damage and a different view of, kind of it's bad. Like it's objectively like having sex with children is bad. I mean,
I don't think anybody's gonna disagree with you.
like I feel like it's a fact. Like if you want to argue that having sex with children is good, like good luck because there's research on it and there's an appropriate time to have sex and being a child is not an appropriate time and dealing with sexuality at such a young age is very dangerous and can really mess somebody up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree 100% with you. Again, I think nobody's going to disagree with that statement. Um, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think we've kind of gone
Sorry,
off.
I derailed it.
I helped, dude. I went off on like a huge rant. Anyway, we're not a political podcast. We're
But catch us next episode on our political podcast.
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna keep my views to myself or
No,
try
it's
to,
fine.
but
I don't.
like,
I think it's good to speak it because we can make other parallels to what happened then to what happens now. So
yeah,
I think it's very interesting to hear about.
that's why I'm voting independent because like I'm not. I
Dude,
I
write
just don't.
yourself in.
I can't. I'm not eligible.
Who cares? Just write yourself in.
Just write myself
Yeah.
in. Just be a felon like Donald Trump. I mean, an alleged felon.
And the
Just kidding.
winner of the election is Brennan Gillis by one vote.
Damn.
That'd be
Just
hilarious.
gets
But
voted right in.
that'd be insane. There would definitely be a lot of like protests and shit. Like, yeah.
I think
That
that we should elect presidents based off of like a cage match or like a UFC. That'd be
oh
awesome.
my god.
That would be so sick.
Dude, Donald Trump and Joe Biden in like the match, and then
Yeah.
throw my Kennedy in there.
Nice. That'd be sick.
Kennedy would rape them all,
Whoa.
wreck them all. You guys get what I say. Anyway, it's been real. It's been fun, guys.
It always is.
Um, please give us a follow on our social media. We got Facebook, we got Instagram, we got Twitter.
We got all of them now.
Hit us up. We got our email as always, shadow.valleypod at thedogenetwork.com. Also, let's come on, guys. Like, come check out our website. I made a
Oh
fresh
yeah, the
website.
website.
I think it's shadowvalleypod.com. Let's pull that up. Let's fact check me right here. I think I'm wrong.
Fake
It might
news.
be shadowvalleypod.com. I think it is.
We have
Let me pull it
the
up.
website shadowvalleypod.com. That is the
Yes.
name.
Nice. So yeah, check out our website. Um, it has a link right to our merch store too. If you want to support us in that way, like we do this all free. We don't have ads because we're just not ads right now. We're just not.
We're just not.
But
No
yeah,
ads.
Not because
and
we never will, but because we just don't.
yeah,
Yeah, we've had like a ton of people reach out. Like Apple reached out and we are like, nah, you guys can't pay us enough for that.
yeah. We have a moral
Boeing.
code.
We turned them down. Boeing reached out, freaking, it was crazy. We were just like, nah, we're just too cool for you
They're
guys.
like, we'll give you your own private jet, and we're like, okay, like we're not that. We're pretty humble. Like, calm down, you guys.
Yeah,
Who's that preacher who has his own like private jet?
that freaky guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
I don't
not
remember.
him, guys. We don't need that. We don't need our you don't yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, anybody else got anything they want to say?
I think again though, we still are number one podcast on in the Doge Network, so
Oh yeah.
we're gonna keep that up.
Yes,
We
sir.
might be
Number one.
overtaken by MMA amigos.
That's true. We might be taking over. And it's because I let my goddamn opinion out, guys. God damn it, Brendan. You need to learn how
Just
to
let it
shut the
right out of
fuck
the
up.
cage,
No, good, it's good.
off the
Well,
leash.
guys, we thank you for listening, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you got Gabe here.
And Parker,
And you got Brennan, of course. See you later, skaters.